Troy Cablevision on South Grundy Street in Troy, Alabama, and of course on Facebook. Across the nation, across the world, you can see us live on Facebook. And of course, hope everybody's doing well on a dreary, dreary morning. In fact, the weather could be conducive for heavy showers, maybe even stormy weather before it's all over with today. So weather is not conducive for outdoor activity after the morning hours. Could be some heavy rain, and we'll be getting more information about that from our crack shot Cracker Jack weatherman up there in the booth. He'll give us a rundown of the weather this morning. We appreciate you watching this morning on Laid Back Television. As we speak, of course, we're located in a 12 county area that carries Troy Cable Channel 2. And of course, as we mentioned, TC2 on your internet or on your Facebook across the country. T as in Troy, C as in cable, 2 as in channel. TC2, call your friends out west and say, hey, we've got a good show for you today. Of course, it is signing day today, final signing day. You know, they had an earlier signing day back in in December. And now there'll be one more signing period. There are still some players out there that have not signed, and I'm sure Alabama would like to get one or two. After 22 signatures during the early period, including 13 that are already enrolled at Alabama, Alabama's quest for the second straight #1 recruiting class appears to rest squarely on the decision of one highly coveted player, four-star defensive tackle McKinley Jackson. In addition to his signature, 2 or 3 of its 4 current commitments that didn't sign in December, the Tide apparently have the space to add just 1 or 2 more before signing day is over. In all accounts, one of those spots, of course, is for Jackson, the 6'2", 327-pound defensive tackle from Lucedale, Mississippi, and of course, which is just over the Alabama-Mississippi line. It's clear that McKinley is the guy they want. Talking about Alabama, and also there are other players out there. Jackson, who is scheduled to sign at 9:30 today, will just hold on and hold his decision until that period of time, which that is the way to go. And of course, it's going to add a little excitement to the day. And head coach Nick Saban, defensive coordinator Pete Golding, and new defensive line coach Freddie Roach have had in-home visits with Jackson this past Thursday to make one final impression, as they said. And also Mississippi product, his final visit will be at Texas A&M. So don't you know that's some pressure on that young man. The Aggies are considered another serious consideration or contender for Jackson's signature, as is LSU and Ole Miss. So that is one of the big names out there. Of course, Robert E. Lee, defensive back, Kendrick Simpkins is another young man that a lot of folks are after. Troy is high on his list. Hopefully, we'll find out in the wake of all schools like Troy, Western Kentucky, UAB, and Charlotte have begun to heavily pursue Simpkins. He says these may be a few of the programs on the list, with Troy and Western Kentucky picking up some traction of late. So hopefully Troy will land a couple of players right here, and right here the last to go to with what they think was one of the top recruiting classes in Troy history. You know, especially since Troy became Division 1A in football. So we'll be watching that closely. Some heavy recruiting right here at the last, and we'll find out this afternoon or even as early as this morning maybe on who is going where. Alabama's recruiting class, as we wait for Mike Amos to call in, as of yesterday, Alabama has already enrolled 13 players to this January. So they'll be eligible not only to practice, but also to take part in spring drills. Bryce Young, the great quarterback, 5-star, considered the number one dual threat quarterback in the country. That means running and throwing. Is already on campus at Alabama. He's from Santa Ana, California. Also, Will Anderson is from Dutchtown High School in Hampton, Georgia, 5-star. Is the number one weak side defensive end in the recruiting already, and he's already enrolled at Alabama. Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Morning.
I was going over the list as a few players at Alabama trying to get right here. The last one of them is that big Jackson kid, the defensive end. Has not made a decision yet, but plans to make it at 9:30 today. Have you heard anything?
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that kid out of Calera, and then the kid out of Mississippi, the McKinney.
Yeah, that's him. His name's Jackson McKinney.
And, I mean, there's a few other players I think they're looking at in Georgia as well. So I don't know. Alabama, I think, second in recruiting behind Georgia right now. So either way, they're gonna finish second, possibly have a chance to finish first.
Yeah. Who's ahead of them right now? LSU or A&M?
Georgia's ahead.
Georgia's ahead, man. You know, a lot of people say Georgia.
Kirby Smart's one of the greatest recruiters of all time.
Are you serious? Don't be saying that, Mike, unless you believe it.
No, I mean, he really is. I mean, he's unbelievable.
Kirby Smart. What has Kirby Smart got that Nick Saban doesn't have, Mike?
I tell you what, man, he's got a good personality. I've met him a few times. He's a really laid back, just good old country boy. It seems like.
Well, yeah, yeah. I saw him at a camp a couple of years back. You know, where Troy was playing in the baseball regional championships. And he had about 200 kids in there, and he spoke, I bet you, 30 minutes. And, boy, they wanted to get away and go to lunch so bad, but he kept talking.
Yeah, I was watching college basketball last night, man. Unbelievable comeback by Auburn. I mean, they were, I think, down by 13 in the second half, and I stopped watching. I was watching Alabama because they were coming down to the wire against Tennessee, and Auburn, I guess, put it in overtime and wins in overtime by 4 at Arkansas at Bud Walton Arena.
That was big, and Ozark was good.
Alabama's won, I think they came back from 17 down on the road to Ole Miss, and then went at home against Kentucky by 9, and then beat Arkansas at Fayetteville. I mean, they're really playing good basketball.
Yeah.
They're 20-2.
How did Alabama do last night?
Alabama's done. They've lost now, I think, 3 in a row.
So they lost that game?
Yeah, they were up by 15 in the first half against Tennessee, and Tennessee had a bunch of size. You know, they had a bunch of 6'9", 6'10" guys, and Alabama had 3 of their big guys foul out, and then Herb Jones, the player out of Tuscaloosa, out of Hale County, broke his wrist against LSU 3 games ago, and he's a guy that takes charges. And
he shoots threes, too. He's a pretty good three-point shooter, too.
Scores 10 points a game, but, ever since he's been hurt, they hadn't even been the same team. I mean, losing him has been crushing. And they lost 2 big guys to start the season with ACL injuries, so they were already short big guys. So they're done. They're 12-10 now, 4-5 in the SEC. 2 straight home losses. Both losses came when they were up by, I think, 15 against Tennessee and 12 against Arkansas. So just really, really not going well in Tuscaloosa.
Well, I hate that. Of course, Troy's got a big one coming up on Friday, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be on national TV on ESPN2, Mike, at 8 o'clock. That's big for Troy basketball. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to be in Las Vegas. I guess maybe I could ask one of the casino people to turn the channel. Maybe I can watch a little bit of it.
Yeah, you're right. Now let's see if we're here at 8 o'clock our time. It would be 6 o'clock their time or Vegas
That's
time.
Right, yeah.
So I'm sure they'll do that for you.
Yeah, I'm gonna be heading out there tomorrow. Looking forward to it.
Just make sure you leave. Hey, listen, go out there and have fun. Listen, go out there and have fun, but leave your money at home.
My wife and I are celebrating our 5-year wedding anniversary out there, so it's gonna be fun.
Well, I hope so. But like I said, leave your money at home.
I leave my money at home.
Go ahead and buy all your tickets to all the shows you want to see, and leave your money at home.
I was telling a buddy of mine yesterday. I think this is my 6th trip to Las Vegas.
Yeah, you're right. I spoiled you.
Yeah, I went. I think only one time with you. I went other times all by myself or with other people.
Oh, really? Now,
went on a work trip out there one time. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So you understand how easy it is.
Las Vegas is a great town. I mean, as far as restaurants and shows, and of course, if you want to gamble, you can gamble. But I mean, I just like the atmosphere. It's just so fun to see all that stuff to me.
I want to look at some more of this recruiting. Alabama is expected to sign at least a couple of its current commitments with McEachern, Georgia High School. 4-star receiver Javon Baker, and 4-star nose guard Jamil Burroughs as the most likely, along with 3-star offensive tackle Damian George of Houston. What do you think about those guys? You know anything about them?
Yeah, I'm looking right now. They were supposed to, it says Alabama's just waiting on paperwork for receiver Javon Baker and offensive lineman Jamil Burroughs, teammates from the school in Georgia. Both had 6:30 a.m. signing ceremonies, and the 2 are committed to Alabama. So they're just waiting on paperwork from those 2 guys, apparently. They're going to Alabama.
So Baker and Burroughs are going to Alabama. And George also to Alabama from Houston?
That has not been, that's not official yet. There's some other schools. There's also a decision that has to be made on cornerback Ennis Rakeshaw, who still has Alabama on the table along with Missouri and Texas.
There's a 4-star defensive tackle, Jason Jones from Calera, that we were talking about.
That's weird. That guy said he was going to Alabama 2 or 3 years ago, and he's been visiting all over the place. Just left Oregon last week.
Well, they say the expectations is likely he'll likely be signing making a decision on signing day, which is today.
Yeah, he played with he played for Zal at Calera.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that was one of the main reasons he had, thought that was an Alabama lock. Of course, Zal now is at Bessemer City.
Yeah.
Quarterback Andrew Zal.
Yeah. Well, let me just say this: he's 6'7" and weighs 340 pounds, and he's an interior lineman, and he has been leaning now toward Oregon to go way out west. He's not gonna like it out there. He better stay right here at home.
Well, a lot of kids are going to Oregon, though. You know, Oregon got the Hoover quarterback. He's going out there.
Did he?
They also got a kid out of Spanish Fort. I think a wide receiver's going to Oregon. So there's a lot of kids out of Alabama going to Oregon.
Oh, boy. Alabama could use this guy. He's a big. Also,
big news out of Alabama. Also, a $20 million gift to the University of Alabama will make a Birmingham couple's largest cash donors in the university's history. CT and Kelly Fitzpatrick have committed $20 million to the school to establish the CT and Kelly Fitzpatrick Center for Value Investing, pending approval by the University of Alabama. So a couple out of Birmingham just decided to give $20 million.
And what's their last name again? CT Kirkpatrick or what?
CT and Kelly Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick. You know, there's a lot of Fitzpatricks in the Montgomery area, but these are quite nice couple to give $20 million to the University of Alabama.
Yeah, that is pretty nice.
Alabama, he says, talking about this big kid, Jones, he says, I'll always be a Bama fan. I've lived in Alabama all my life. I've always cheered for Alabama, and so my love for Alabama will never change, Jones told Montgomery Advertiser following the Under Armour All-American game.
This guy's really an Alabama fan and wants to go to Alabama. Must be Alabama backing off him.
Yeah, it could be. He said we stand pretty great, and he said I love them. The Tide also expected to add North Carolina graduate transfer tight end Carl Tucker. A mix of.
Yeah, we talked about him the other day. In 2018, he was all ACC, and then I guess he was injured coming into 2019 and didn't play as much. But I think he started like 28 games at North Carolina.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, I reckon Alabama can always use a good tight end. Also,
pretty huge news in college football yesterday. Mark D'Antonio, the Michigan State coach, stepped down. So Michigan State job is now open. He stated that he was kind of worn out and wanted to spend more time with his family. So not a bad job to go to Michigan State.
No, you're right.
Who will be that coach?
You're exactly right.
I mean, he was a great coach. I mean, he won 114 games, went to the whole games 13 out of 14 years. Of course, he played Alabama in the playoffs, and Alabama just destroyed him. But be interested to see who takes that job.
Also, still out there, Mike, is a kid named Amos Rakestraw.
Yeah, we just talked about him.
From Duncanville, Texas. He is a running back, but just only a 3-star.
Also, Thompson quarterback Peyton Sawyer, who we talked about, who threw 41 touchdowns, only had 3 interceptions, and was getting no offers. He's going to go to Auburn as a preferred walk-on. So
now, what's his name now?
Peyton Sawyer. You know, Thompson High School won the state championship.
Oh yeah.
And nobody offered this kid. He threw 41 touchdowns and had 3 interceptions, and he's now going to Auburn as a preferred walk-on.
Yeah. Okay.
So that makes no sense, in my opinion, to go to Auburn and be a preferred walk-on. You could have gone to 1AA and played somewhere, probably. Being a walk-on, I mean, I guess it's just maybe the love of the school, but I don't see that guy getting to play a whole lot.
Well, I don't either. And, you know, like you said, he could have. I don't know. Troy sure doesn't need him. The last thing Troy needs is a quarterback. They need.
Yeah, right now, Troy,
tell me how many quarterbacks will Troy have this spring? And they're practicing again. They were out there this morning. They practice every morning starting at 6 o'clock.
I don't know, man. You never know with Troy. You don't ever know what's going on with anything, man. They don't release anything. I have no clue if they still have the same guys from last year. If they had the same guys from last year, which I'm not 100%, they'd have Gunnar Watson, they'd have Jacob Free, the kid out of Brantley, they'd have Gavin Screws. So that's the 3 that were back off the team last year, and then they've added the Tool kid out of Georgia, and then this Parker McNeil guy out of Navarro. So that's 5 quarterbacks.
Navarro, Texas.
Yeah, Navarro, junior college.
Yeah, exactly. And that's fine.
I mean, it's one of those situations where somebody's going to be transferring. I mean, it's just a matter of how many. I would say at least two.
Yeah, that's five, pretty good quarterbacks, too, to choose from. And they like, of course, this junior college kid that came in late. And they also love this Toole kid who led, I want to say, Leeds County, Georgia, to 3 straight state championships. That's pretty impressive. And then the kid at Watson that was already here had some is a good football player, and of course free.
But I mean, Chip Lindsey showed no confidence in him whatsoever. I mean, he never really let him run the offense, never let him throw the ball. I mean, if you got confidence in the quarterback, let him hand off left, let him hand off right. He had confidence in him, but very strange when he got into the game last year. I mean, when he got in the game against oh God, who's the worst team ever? Akron, the Zips.
The Zips.
Troy's up there with a guy off the street selling DoorDash. Hadn't played football in 2 years, running the ball 14 times, and he's not even letting his quarterback throw. And the quarterback's one injury away from Caleb Barker, who's been injured throughout his career.
Yeah,
to have to run the offense. I mean, that's one thing I hope Chip Lindsey as a head coach will change this coming season is when he has the backup quarterbacks run the offense. I mean, shoot, I still want to see points scored. I want to see these young guys score. I think that's the way you got to be. I tell you what, you get Oklahoma in. I was watching some games last year because I was watching Jalen Hurts. When they put their backup in, shoot, that offense never changed.
Yeah.
There was like one minute left, and the guy was throwing a 60-yard bomb against West Virginia.
Exactly right, no question. How did West Virginia? Did they have a good signing class, or do you know?
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. I'll have to look at their numbers again. I think there's some transfers they're waiting on.
It would surprise me. Compare Troy's ranking class, I think it was 70, and compared to see what West Virginia did.
West Virginia was in the 40s, I think, for sure. But I'll have to look and see. I know Neil Brown was talking about bringing in some more transfers. That's what he's got to do, really, is try to get as many guys out of transfer portal as he can, because that's just like immediate help, immediate need. There's an interesting poll today. There's a poll out on AL.com. Who's the top SEC football coach without a national title? And they're talking about the current coaches, and then they're talking about coaches who had coached in the SEC all the time. The current coaches they mentioned is Mike Leach. He's won 139 games. Of course, he just got into the SEC. Gus Malzahn second. Dan Mullen. Of course, he's got a really good chance at Florida. Of course, Kirby Smart has come so close so many times. But all-time coaches they're talking about that didn't win a national championship. Pat Dye is definitely a guy that had really, really good teams, won 4 SEC titles, never won a national championship. Then Mark Rick won 2 or 3 SEC titles. He never won a national championship. And Johnny Majors never won a national championship in Tennessee.
That was because Alabama was so good. That was one of the reasons.
And then this guy had a chance, but they ended up taking USC and Oklahoma in the title game. Was Tommy Tuberville. Auburn went undefeated, went 13-0. But
did you know Tommy Tuberville was in Troy yesterday afternoon?
Apparently, Tommy Tuberville is getting more donations to his campaign than anybody.
Yeah, I think it was yesterday, he spoke on the square at 4:30. Not yesterday, but the day before. And I think that's the way. That's right. And a bunch of Auburn folks were down there. I saw a bunch of Auburn tags down there.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be interesting for
I think,
Alabama fans if they can forget that fear the thumb. When he had 5 fingers up in that thumb.
That's right.
6 straight victories.
That is unbelievable. People need to think about that. That is quite that's quite something to say. You beat Alabama 6 straight times.
Oh yeah, it's still unbelievable. I mean, it was just the perfect storm. Probation and really poor coaches. I mean, it was just one of those things. He beat Saban his first year.
Oh yeah. And
then, West Virginia, according to 24/7 Sports, is 37th.
Okay, well,
right now.
Yeah, okay. That's
they have
right.
1 4-star and 19 3-stars.
Yeah. Now, they've got Alabama has 13 players already enrolled and will take spring practice.
Alabama's got so many guys enrolled right now. The kid out of Hewitt Trustful, I read an article. So he graduated high school early and thought that he was going to be able to enroll in Tuscaloosa, but apparently you're limited about how many can enroll.
I didn't know that.
And they made this kid have to sit out. So basically, he's having to work out on his own, just do whatever he wants to right now, because basically he graduated early and won't be able to report until August. It's kind of a crazy situation for that kid.
Who is this kid?
I think he's the kid out of I know he's the kid out of Trustful. I can't remember if his name. I think his name's maybe Malachi Moore.
But he plays at Alabama.
Well, no, I mean he played at Hewitt Trustful his senior year. And he graduated early because he thought that he was going to be able to enroll in January. But apparently other kids enrolled, and maybe, it's a situation where they felt like these other kids were more important to get on campus before him.
Well, all right, but this kid did sign with Alabama?
He signed with Alabama. It's a done deal. He can't go anywhere else.
And I'm looking for him on this list of signees.
He signed the first go-around, the first recruiting. He signed.
Okay. So...
But I never knew that. I thought
that's Malachi. His name is Malachi Moore. He's from Hewitt Trustful. 4-star. 4-star is pretty good. Number 19 in the. Well, gosh, what does that mean? Number 19S. What does that mean?
Probably at his. He's the 209th best player nationally, and then 19th best player at his position.
Yeah, in the country?
Yeah.
Well, that's not bad. There's a lot of quarterbacks in the country, and he's rated number 19. That's pretty good.
He's a cornerback, yeah.
He's a quarterback, Malachi Moore. 4-star.
He's
all right, that's what he is. He's a safety. That's right. He's a safety. Okay, so he'll probably make it, no question.
I'm just saying, I feel bad for the kid, though, because he's, in a situation where he is, thinking he can go to the University of Alabama in January and start practicing and start working out, and apparently they didn't have enough room to get him in there.
All right, let's take a look at him real quick, and then we'll take a look at Auburn's once we get the information. But out of the 13 enrolled, you have Bruce Young. We talked about him from California, the number 1 rated quarterback out there. Bryce Young, excuse me. Will Anderson from Dutchtown, Hampton, Georgia, is a defensive end already on campus. Chris Braswell, from St. Francis Academy in Baltimore, 5-star. He's already enrolled.
Yeah, so Bryce Young is a 5-star, Will Anderson is a 5-star, Chris Braswell is a 5-star, and Drew Sanders is a 5-star.
Drew Sanders out of Denton, Texas. How do we get a guy out of there?
6'5", 232-pound linebacker.
Golly, that's right. Demoy Kennedy is a 4-star out of Theodore.
You know who Drew Sanders looks like? He looks like Watt. He's that kind of athlete.
Does he? Oh, man.
He's a freakish-looking player.
Yeah. Jace McClellan from Aldo, Texas, 4-star running back.
He's a running back. They ended up getting the switch late.
Number 6 running back. I reckon that's what that means in the country. Rydell Williams out of Hueytown. I remember him, 4-star, number 9 overall running back. What do you think?
Yeah, he's a kid that put up huge numbers at Hueytown.
His name is Roy Dale. They're going to give it to Roy Dale.
I forgot to tell you, that Ladarius Webb, you always ask about at Beauregard. I finally found out where he was. He must have been in junior college, and he signed with Florida State.
Buddy, he is good, too. That's a coup for them. He signed with Mississippi State out of high school, though, didn't he?
Yeah, maybe. I think it was Mississippi State, but he's at Florida State now.
All right, Tay Jones Bale out of Miami Carroll. This is another one that's already on campus. He's a 4-star wide receiver. Do you know anything about him?
I just know that he's top 25, at his position. position. Is number 25 in the country. He's a 4-star.
This is that linebacker out of Muscle Shoals that people compare with Leroy. His name is Jackson or Bratton, Mike, out of Muscle Shoals.
6'3", 235. He's number 10 linebacker in the country. Yeah, he's been with Alabama for years.
Mike, we're gonna put you on hold, and we'll be coming, picking up this other line here real quick. We'll bring you right back. Good morning, you on Today in L.A. How you doing?
Mike, it's Max. How you this morning?
Max Howell. Hold on a minute, Max, and we'll bring you all in here. All right, you got both of you. Is that right?
I'm here.
I'm on.
Max Howell reporting from Fulton, Mississippi this morning on Today in L.A. We're going over Alabama's commitments, Max, and they're trying to be the number one recruiting class again. But again, somebody got to coach them now. Don't you agree?
Yeah, you got to get them there first, Mike. Then you got to coach them up.
So what's been going on with you? I know you've been watching this late recruiting. This has really changed things around a little bit, hasn't it? To have this late.
It has, yeah. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, what I think it looks like to me is the advantage goes to the smaller schools that were able to recruit and sign these kids early and get them locked down, so that the big boys like Alabama, Auburn, and the rest of them would come back and pick them up later if they needed them. But they can't do it if they got them already signed the first go-around. Is that right?
That's true, and I do think certainly Troy made the most of that. I thought Chip did a good job in the numbers. You guys know the numbers way better than I do, but I think the system has worked in their favor, and I think not only theirs but a lot of others. Even I'll jump one step further, Mike, and tell you about Mississippi State. Even before they fired Moorhead at Mississippi State, he'd already signed 22. 21 of them stayed during the transition with Mike Leach, and I think 14 of them already enrolled in school.
That is impressive, isn't it?
Very much so. Very much so.
Just this situation here with Troy, it's loaded with quarterbacks, but Troy takes a kid from Leesburg, Florida, and a quarterback that has won 3 straight state championships in 5A or 6A in Georgia, which is big. And Troy gets him. I mean, what I'm saying, gets a commitment from him, and he keeps it. And they signed him back in December. And then they get a drop back passer, 6'5", 230 guy out of Texas, and Troy gets him to sign, and he was rated the 3rd best drop back passer in the country. How does Troy do that?
In the junior colleges.
Yeah, in the junior colleges. Yeah, exactly.
Well, Troy's program is well known, Mike. You know that. I mean, you guys have followed it every year, for a long time. And I think the situation at LSU certainly helped Troy. Ogeron mentioned Troy almost every time when people asked him about LSU's program turning around. He used the loss to Troy as the motivation factor for that football team. And it can't do anything but help Troy. I do think when you sign 4 or 5 top rated though at any position, you're gonna have a problem somewhere. You might keep 3 of them, but if they're determined to play that position, they'll end up transferring somewhere else.
Yeah, we count 5 at Troy. You know that at least 2 of them are going to leave, and maybe 3.
Right.
Go
ahead, Michael.
You would think that you'd have more teams would have an early spring. Have you seen that to be a fact, or what?
You talking about spring practice?
Yeah. The beginning of spring practice, it seemed like with these kind of situations, you would want to have an early spring so you could prepare a little bit more.
That's a philosophy that those staffs have to make on time. They've got a certain time period. Once they announce, they got 30-day slot in there to get 15 practices in. And I think it depends on like Mississippi State and Ole Miss. They both got new coaching staff, so they want to wait as long as they can to move forward, so all the guys in the off-season program can catch up, and all the coaches can learn the system.
Yeah.
Other established,
Troy's announced their spring, Doug.
Yeah, I knew they did. When are they actually going to start?
I mean, it looks like the first practice will be February 25th.
Okay, that's not but a couple of weeks. Yeah.
And of course, the weather. The weather in this part of the country. I mean, it's rained up here every day for 2 weeks, and we got another week of it coming.
Yeah, we've got some bad weather coming in here today. At least they forecast bad weather.
Yeah. So see, you've got to consider that. Most schools have got indoor practice facilities, but it's not like outdoor. It's a whole different attitude and practice session. But it depends on what you're trying to accomplish in the spring. The experienced programs come back. You're just trying to figure out who your depth's going to be. You got a new coaching staff. You got a bad year the year before. You recruited a bunch of young players or transfers. Then you got to see how they fit in your program. There's a lot of different things go into the timing. If you had injuries to key players late in the season, you want them to heal as much as they can before next fall.
Well, you can sure tell this that the SEC's at the top now, not necessarily but at the top. When you look at Alabama, look at Georgia, look at Auburn, of course, look at LSU. Those are 4 premium teams right there. And then Tennessee's coming hard. What do you think? Who would you say the top 4 or 5 teams were?
I think you named them, and I think there's another one out there that Texas A&M.
Oh yeah, A&M, yeah.
Yeah, they were number 5 last year, but Jimbo didn't take full advantage of it. I don't know how much longer. He can't win. He can't stay out there winning eight games a year. Not the salary they pay him, and allowing him to go and do what he likes to do. So,
Max, one of the big names that's still out there that Alabama wants real bad, because I can tell that Saban has been to visit him several times. His name is Jackson. Is his last name is McKinley Jackson, and his last visit was to A&M. How much advantage does the school have when they're the last place that a guy can visit?
But see, here's the thing you overlook. You know who recruited him? Who was his best recruiting coach? Is the guy that Alabama hired from Ole Miss, Freddie Roach.
Oh, really?
Freddie Roach has been recruiting him since he was a 10th grader.
Yeah.
So if I had to bet this morning, he's going to Alabama.
Yeah. Well,
basically the last school can come in and say, so how much are they going to pay you? We'll pay you more.
He's 6'2", 327-pound defensive tackle. He looks like one of those guys that line up over center, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's the best player in the state of Mississippi this year.
The Troy TNA game will be April the 4th.
April 4th, okay. And Max comes in here to get his big ring. That's a good-looking ring, too, Max, that Hall of Fame ring. And Max comes in here to pick up his ring on the 25th of April.
Yeah,
is that right, Max? Max comes in here to pick up his ring.
Exciting time. I won Florida State ring now for 20 years.
Uh-huh.
So I'm gonna put that one in the drawer.
Yeah, you're right. Let me tell you something. That is a beautiful ring too. It really is.
Yeah, Hall of Fame ring probably is a little bit bigger than that Florida State ring.
I think you're absolutely right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But one thing about it.
I'm going into that one.
Yeah. Well, Max, what's jumping out at you? Of course, this is the signing day today, and most of them will probably make their decision by noon at least. The only people that hold off is people just want a little fanfare. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true. Mike, you can't tell. I did that so long, and there's a lot of things that go into that. You got families to consider. You got 2 teams really battling, and the kid that don't where he wants to go, and mom and daddy, Aunt B want him to go someplace, and Uncle Bercy wants him to go somewhere else. I mean, you go around the world and trying to get those guys to make a commitment and get their name on the contract. Then you can be. But until they sign, and that was the sign of the thing about. I know when I was running the office, what I hated worst was those early commitments, because once you commit, it comes out. Everybody in the country starts looking.
That's right.
Well, why'd you go find him? And that just opens up the recruiting base. And then after signing day, I think you still got 30 days that you can get him in on this period of to sign before there's a dead period. That's the hardest part. That's the hardest part of the job, particularly if he's a high-profile player.
Yeah. You know, Max says, and I hate to say this, but it's got to be the truth. There's more lying going on during recruiting than any other phase of a young man's life. He lied to more than once, isn't he?
You know, hey, sometimes you got to tell them what they want to hear, Mike.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You won't even be in the ball game.
They want that T-bone to be 2.5 inches thick instead of 1.5 inches thick.
See, that's what Alabama does. You know, Alabama will sign a kid, and he might be a 4-star, but then they might have a kid that they really, really want come around late. That's a 5-star, or even a better player than the 4-star, and they'll basically tell that other kid, you know, we don't have a scholarship for you anymore. And that's when you see these kids decommit. It's really Alabama decommits on them, and they have to start looking for other schools because Alabama picks up a better prospect.
Yeah.
You know, that's just the way it works, unfortunately.
Michael, yeah, but here's something that goes on a lot of people don't know. When that happens, those coaches that recruit him and cut him loose, they make arrangements to try to find him somewhere else.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what.
The reason being is if you don't, you can't go back into that school again.
Yeah, I got you.
They'll basically blackball you from the school if you don't try to hit the kid.
Yeah.
We're talking to Max Howell, one of the more distinguished sports analysts in the country, especially when it comes to football. He's calling in from his home in Fulton, Mississippi, only a rock's throw from Oxford, Max, and then a rock's throw from Mississippi State. You're right on top of it, aren't you, in Mississippi?
Well, yeah, I'll be interested. It looks like both. I don't know that Ole Miss is going to finish in the top 20. I think Mississippi State is. In Mississippi State, the biggest signing they just got, though, is a transfer from Stanford. The starting quarterback started.
Oh, boy.
After the team. He transferred in. He's 6'5", 230. Got a 4.0 average. He's a graduate. He's already graduated from Stanford.
6'5", 2. So.
His name's A.J. Costello. I watched him play many a game.
Yeah.
Where did you watch him play many a game?
He started at Stanford for 2 years.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Was he any good?
He was good when they had better players at wide receiver.
Yeah, their program's been down, though, the last few years, though. Is that right?
That's where Emmett's son went out to Stanford.
Emmett
Smith's son signed with Stanford.
Oh, did you know that? Of course, that's a great educational school.
Yeah, say that Emmett's son's went there, Deion's son went to South Carolina. So, they all scattered around. They didn't go back to their alma mater. It's hard to follow. It's hard to follow a legend. So that's one of the reasons Peyton didn't go to Ole Miss.
Right.
He didn't want to bother his dad.
Now, Mike.
But,
Max, this kid from Daleville High School in just south of here. You know where Daleville is.
Yeah.
He shattered the state rushing record for a season. I mean, how many yards did Jalen White rush for, Mike?
I think it was like 3,560 yards.
3,561. Guess this, Mike. He's committed to play at Georgia Southern. Why would a guy like that want to play in the wishbone, Max? A guy that with that, and why didn't Troy somebody get in on it?
Don't you run more in the wishbone than any other offense?
No, but most of the time you can tell where he's going, though. Most of the time, though, if he's in a full wishbone, don't you think? I mean, like if he's set up in the right halfback in a full wishbone set, most of the time he's going to go to the right, isn't he?
Well, I mean, you can check those stats all you want, but evidently they sold him on the idea that he can carry the football.
Yeah.
They'll put him up in. Most of those guys, Mike, in the or what they call the flex bone, they'll move those kids around. He'll be a weak back one time. He'll line up a tail back one time. They move him around to try to confuse the defensive side of the ball.
How in the world does Troy not sign a guy like that? He had 3,517 yards and 322 points.
I don't think Troy even offered him. Troy was down to South Alabama and Georgia Southern.
Yeah.
What I saw.
How big a kid is he?
I think he weighed about 190.
Yeah, I think he's about 5'10", 190 pounds.
I'm not sure.
He's a kid that, put up huge numbers, and I don't know, for some reason maybe Troy just didn't think he was a good fit for their offense.
Yeah.
I guess you'd have to ask Jim Lindsey.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that, they may already have 4 or 5 commitments at that position. There's ways that it then depends on if they might could have come back in, or but Troy in particular might could have come back. It depends on his academics. They could, talk him into going to junior college for a year or two. There's a lot of ways you can do that. Evidently, the kid, for whatever, and I'm going to tell you guys, there are a lot of guys that want to get further away from home. I mean, I know even we were in Tallahassee, we were number 1 in the country. They had kids went to Auburn, went to Florida State, went to Florida, University of Florida. They want to get out of town. They've been to Florida State every home game for 5 years, and they want to get away.
I see where.
Dan, I was going to let you know, Troy does have help coming in on defense. They had 2 guys sit out last year. Jaden McDonald, transfer linebacker in from Iowa, who's out of Atlanta, and then Richard Jabbar, the kid that transferred defensive end out of Auburn, sat out for Troy last year. So that's 2 guys that can immediately help.
Exactly.
That weren't able to play last year.
I noticed that they got a commitment, they got this kid out of Eufaula, Brooks Weeks, the linebacker, to commit to Troy, or to sign with Troy. And
I thought Troy was done with their recruits. Is this somebody new?
No, this guy's new. It says 4 other area standouts are expected to sign today with Division I programs, and they mentioned Brooks Weeks, the linebacker at Eufaula. I'll take anybody that comes out of Eufaula. Yeah, and also Charles Henderson deep snapper Barton Hicks, the superintendent's son, plans to sign. He's going to UAB. Must be going to medical school. Wouldn't you think?
I don't know. Is he going to go up there on scholarship?
Yeah. I think he's going to go up there on scholarship. They say he's a real good snapper. I don't know that part of it. I really don't. And they played on.
That was an article. That was an article in the local paper up here. The head coach at Tupelo High School, son's really a good athlete. He's a 4.0 student now. I think he's going to Florida in full scholarship just as a long snapper.
Yeah, that is something.
It was about that position when, as you said, one of you asked just a minute ago, Mike, you did about walking on. That used to be the walk-on position. Was a lot, but now that's a valuable position in key situations with the punter and the field goals. So many field goals kicking, and you can you don't throw it back there, snap it over the punter's head. Field position is extremely important. So I'm really, even with limited scholarships, I'm glad to see them go the full scholarship for those specialty kids.
Troy has gotten a few walk-ons, too, that are going to walk on at Troy. One of them's a running back out of Providence that had a real good year. But we were just looking at some of these guys that are...
Yeah, it says at 6:36 a.m., the name to watch today is McKinley Jackson, number 61 overall recruit. He has Alabama and Texas A&M on his list. The signing ceremony will be at 9:30 a.m. Should every other commitment hold firm, this could be the deciding factor if Alabama becomes the number 1 recruiting class. So at 9:30, you'll know where McKinley Jackson's going.
Exactly right. No question about it.
Well, I'd have to think that I'm not saying that's the reason Freddie Roach, that Coach Saban went after Freddie Roach, but even though he played at Alabama, it was an easy pick for Coach Saban to bring him back, particularly when he can bring one of the top 2 or 3 defensive linemen in the country with him.
Well, there's a 5-star still out there, defensive tackle Jordan Birch, who signed with South Carolina, I reckon. Let's see.
Well, he committed to him, I know.
That's right.
That was a lot of big news, right? From Columbia, I believe.
Yeah, they said, but he didn't actually sign, leaving open the possibility that LSU could be his final destination. So that's a big 5-star defensive tackle that I'm sure a lot of people would love to have.
Well, I think it's going to be, does he want to stay at home? Does he want to go to LSU and
that's right.
Get a chance to probably play for a championship? And I don't know that much Muschamp's going to last much longer in South Carolina either.
Yeah, you're right. No question about it.
Tell you what, and Muschamp has gotten plenty of chances to coach in the SEC. I just don't know if it's going to work out for him.
That's true. Very true.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Yeah, at Florida. Yeah, I mean that's a school that you got a lot better chance to win at than South Carolina.
Well, true, sure. But you know what? But Michael, Steve Spurrier and Lou Holtz both won 11 games while they was in South Carolina.
Spurrier won 11 games in South Carolina in 3 straight years.
Yeah, I mean, it can be done. I don't know that, you know, there may be something in Will's communication skills or whatever. And I tell you, I even look at the number of injuries they have toward the end of the season every year. I don't know whether it's the weight and conditioning or is his practice schedule during the week. But he loses a lot of kids, and they don't have enough depth up there to lose kids to injury during the week.
Looking through at some of these and trying to pick up some information on some of these guys still out there, and you know, if Alabama can nail this guy or get this kid to sign with them, talking about McKinley Jackson, they probably will be named the #1 recruiting class in America. Wouldn't you say, Max?
Well, I mean, that's what they're saying.
If they do, they get him in #1. Now, I think that'll put Alabama 9 of the last 10 years as the #1 recruiting class in the country.
Boy.
If Georgia ends up #1, I think they've had a couple out of the 3 years that Kirby Smart's been there. So that's a good watching and conversational piece, to say the least.
No question about it. I know you're looking.
Kirby Smart will be back in Tuscaloosa to start the season. Alabama plays Georgia in Tuscaloosa in September, so that's a game to look forward to.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
A lot of bad blood with Smart and Saban on the recruiting trail since Smart's left. They've been battling. Their relationship's pretty strained, they say.
Oh, really?
I would bet on Georgia.
Yeah. Of course, we're talking about recruiting with Max Howell on our phone today from Fulton, Mississippi. And, Max, I know you're asked numerous times, you know, we see some of these guys, right, like maybe this situation with Daleville running back. A lot of these kids still hadn't made their grades. And, Georgia Southern might take a chance on him making his grades. Is that right?
True, and absolutely. And I think, of course, having worked at Ole Miss and working in the state of Mississippi with all the junior colleges, that was always that was our backup program. And even, and I made the comment a while ago, even if we were down to 2 or 3, if we tried to decide we really wanted all 3, but didn't have 2 scholarships left, then we'd go to the parents and all and try to get, if he was qualified academically, he could just go stay 1 semester at a junior college. And we put him on next year's recruiting list. There's all kind of ways you can jockey around those numbers, but you got to deal with the parents. You got to sit down and let the kid understand what's happening to him.
Yeah,
you go and sit out, and that could actually be his redshirt year. You can come back to your school and still have 4 years to go.
Now, in junior colleges, and correct me if I'm wrong here, you've got to graduate from junior college, don't you?
Not if you're a qualifier.
Okay, no, that's what I'm saying. If you're not a qualifier, you have to graduate and prove you graduated. Is that right? To play Division I.
Yeah, but let me tell you guys, it's something nobody thinks about. You stay 3 years. You can actually take your redshirt year in junior college, still play 2 years, and you still got 2 to play when you come out.
Yeah.
I've always wondered, what kind of coaching do you think you get in junior college? Is there some pretty good junior college coaching?
Some of them are, Michael, but I'm going to tell you, over at East Pacific Scuba, to me, they've won 2 national championships. I've seen them play a half a dozen times. The worst coach bunch I've ever seen. On straight talent.
Yeah.
They had 4 defensive linemen, all over 6'5", all over 300. Never rushed the passer. Yeah. They'd stand up and just hope make the quarterback throw over their hands.
And some of the great players of all time came out of Scuba. And tell them, Scuba probably what? You think there's 100 people in that town?
Maybe.
I know there's one filling station. Ain't there one grocery store filling station? I mean, if they want a cold drink, that's the only place they're gonna get it outside of.
Dollar General. That's it.
Do they have a Dollar General?
Like there, guys.
Yeah, a Dollar General, and of course, Scuba is probably the most. If you looked at what school has produced the most talent, it'd probably be Scuba in junior colleges, wouldn't you think?
That has been the last 2 or 3 years. They won the national championship too. The last 4 years, I believe. Mississippi Gulf Coast does a good job though. LSU sends kids over there. I mean, that's a.
Yeah. It's almost like a farm club, isn't it?
Yeah, it kind of bounces around. They've got and again, the academic side has to be in favor of that, the one and done thing. At a junior college, if the kid's eligible, a lot of them don't want to put a lot of effort into that. It's I'd hate to say this, but it's a very political system.
Yeah.
It really is, to get them there, to hold on to them, and then get them back where they were sent from, because they become free agents once they get to junior college.
Yeah.
They'd be re-recruited by anybody.
Now,
when you win a national championship, the Mississippi junior colleges are competing against Kansas junior colleges or Texas junior colleges, or just other junior colleges.
No, that's
some of them.
No, that's all.
Some of them are community colleges. Some are junior colleges. Who are they competing against?
Well, who's got the athletic? It's all about the athletic program. It doesn't matter about the academics. It's all.
Yeah,
about
but I'm talking about what other states do they compete against to win the national championship?
California's got 40.
Okay.
Community colleges. Kansas, Mississippi's got the second most. They got 14 that play, that compete. And California's next. California's first. Now, but every one of them doesn't play football. You got to go to the football playing schools, and that's where it's judged. But it is a national title, and they usually go to Kansas. It's usually either Kansas or to Mississippi, because that's where the most competitive ball is actually played at that level.
Then, of course, UCLA, Southern Cal, all the California schools, and the Arizona schools, and the Utahs, and all that. But most of them go the junior college route, don't they?
A lot of them do, yeah. And I think it depends on, again, the philosophy. They usually use as affiliate, Mike, that what they usually do. If you miss 2 or 3 kids, you go look in junior colleges, find one that's got a couple of years later. You need some immediate help. Because I'm telling you, with a good weight program, there's a lot of difference between an 18-year-old and a 20-year-old.
Yes, sir.
Basically. And that's why, that's the reason they did that. Jackie Sherrill, when he was at Mississippi State, he made a living out of junior college players. I mean, he signed 10, 12 every year.
Players that can help him right then.
He had to watch the academics to be sure he could get them in school.
Yeah. I know this, Jim Tompkins, your good friend, my good friend, who coached here for several years in high school and in college. He was considered one of the top linebacking coaches in the country. And each year, I'm talking about each year, he'd have a different linebacker that made all SEC linebacker for several years in a row. And I think most every one of them were junior college players that they recruited.
Yeah, he was able to identify him. He was in, he spent the last 6 or 7, 8 years with Coach Sherrill at Mississippi State.
That's right. Yeah, he was there at Mississippi State for a while.
He retired. Jim retired there, and he's still there.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, at his own weight health club. We're going to take a short break, ladies and gentlemen. Brought to you by Max Credit Union on the bypass right here in Troy, and Premier Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and Ram truck. I drive a brand new Ram truck, and I love it. We'll be back.
I've been working for this my whole life. The chance to relax on the open water. With my financial institution, Max, my Achieve checking account earns dividends. So I'm free to do what I love.
Trojan Auto Parts of Troy, home of Napa Know-How. Stop by and see owners Mike and Melissa Kilcrease and their Napa Know-How team with over 100 years of combined experience. We're the only locally owned parts store in Pike County, and we're fully stocked and ready to serve you. We pride ourselves on being your go-to parts store, not only for the simple items, but we specialize in those hard-to-find items as well. Trojan Auto Parts, the right part at the right price at the right time. Napa, a name you've trusted here in Troy since 1945.
Piggly Wiggly's local butchers are on site at both stores and will help you select the best cuts of meat and trim them to your liking. Our USDA Choice beef is the most consistently tender, juicy, and flavorful beef you can buy, all at cost plus 10%.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
We're there. Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen. Max Howell is on the line. You're welcome to call in. Number is 670-0052, area code 334-670-0052. And you're on the line with Max Howell, very distinguished gentleman who will be receiving his Hall of Fame ring on April the 25th. And Max, I'm because you're doing that, I'm gonna throw a big party after those that induction.
Well, I appreciate that, Mike. You guys, Troy's been I was away for a while. I was trying to build a career and moving around, coaching all over the South. And I told you that story. As soon as I came off, I really came right back to Troy, and that's where it all started.
Yeah.
I can't be thankful enough for all the.
Yeah, you actually you coached there 6 years at Troy. I mean,
I was on the staff there. 6 years with Coach Atkins.
Yeah, 6 years, Coach Atkins, and boy, I'm sure you learned a lot of football, and of course you were already involved in strength. You know, people don't realize this. When Max, ladies and gentlemen, was a high school player from say 59? No, well, a high school player, but
I graduated. I actually played my last senior year at 57.
All right, 57. But when you went to Auburn to play football, you were one of the very few people on Auburn's football team that worked out with weights, that was serious weightlifter, and you were a actual bodybuilder weightlifter. Is that right?
Yeah, well, I started in high school. My dad put me on a program when I was about 15.
How did your dad know so much about that? Charles Atlas or what?
Well, he played basketball in Alabama.
Yeah.
So they already had a program over there, and of course he followed it there. He's an ardent sports fan.
Yeah.
And I grew up in a household that did anything but talk sports all the time.
Yeah.
And Auburn was getting a program up. That was in the 50s. And they already started having their program. It wasn't obviously as strenuous as it did, but I was already in a program.
Yeah.
And then, of course, after I transferred to Troy, Nick Hostings had it for the athletic department for the training for physiology and training for coaches. But it was not a specified program.
He had a guy, a weightlifter named Charles Couch. You remember Charles Couch out of Robert E. Lee High School? He was just a weightlifter and had a big old hole upstairs on the floor where he dropped some weights. I don't know, it went for years without fixing it, But
well, as soon as Billy got there, if you remember, we moved it over to under the stadium.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we had it.
But y'all had to make some of your weights. You made them out of concrete with those buckets and concrete. You remember that?
Well, I do. I remember. But we also, Billy got the money to spend and upgraded that because remember he came out of the NFL.
Yeah, that's right.
And he already knew all about programs.
But people don't realize, I know up through the mid '60s when I played. Carroll High of Ozark, I think, maybe lifted weights, but it was probably because of you. See, when I play them in basketball, I see that old guy had that lot bigger, stronger arms, and we were good football players, but we weren't strong.
Yes, that's
weight programs made a difference. But now let me tell you a story, and I want you to follow up on this, Max. When Billy Cannon ran the kickback against Ole Miss on Halloween night to win, to beat Ole Miss, LSU to beat Ole Miss, they started looking at Billy Cannon. They started looking at him, and what he did, Mike, and you know this well, Max. He worked out with weights. He was a big weight lifter. But nobody else was lifting weights like he was lifting weights. Isn't that right?
No, that's in those days, Mike. It was sporadic. It was coming on. I was gonna tell you who had the best organized program in the 50s and 60s at the college was Nebraska. Billy sent me out.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
our program. Nebraska had a big, of course, they had those big old corn-fed boys anyway.
Yeah.
And, but they put them, Devaney and them put them on a weight program, which they had gotten from the NFL. So that was kind of the bell cow of the college weightlifting program in the country at that time.
And then, Alabama wore them out in the Orange Bowl, and then the next year in the Sugar Bowl, wore that big old Nebraska group out. And you know what he found out, don't you? He needed some speed. He needed some speed.
Exactly right.
And he went and started recruiting all those players out of Florida and everything.
Yeah, so you remember, too, guys, that weightlifting evolved. It was just all about bulk to start with. That was long before. I didn't even know much about the stretching exercises. In the cardiovascular that goes with it, we didn't run a lot. It was just bulk. To remember, I mean, I weighed 225, 30 pounds.
Yeah, you were one of the biggest men on the team.
Yeah, and I was so. I did so many bench press, I couldn't even straighten my arms.
Oh gosh, yeah. And
it was a weird situation.
Jim Tompkins was from Brantley. Now, did you introduce weights to Jim Tompkins? Y'all were teammates.
See, I think he picked it up like I did from Coach Coste's.
Yeah.
And he liked it, and we kind of grew up.
But it's just amazing how much better a football player would be if he was in a good weight program. Something that we never had. When I went to Troy in '65, Troy State College at the time, we didn't have any weights. Hardly. I bet there wasn't 200 pounds of weights in the whole athletic department.
How did Coach Steves wind up at Troy? I don't think I ever heard that story.
That's a great story. That's a great question, Mike. He ran in the Olympics, and I don't know what drew him there to begin with, but he had some kind of connection there on the faculty.
Well, yeah. I'll tell you a little bit about it. Coste's was in the Helsinki Olympics. He was the first American to finish in the decathlon, not the decathlon, but what is it, the 24-mile marathon or whatever.
It's a marathon.
You ran the 1,500?
Yeah, no, it was a marathon, 24 miles. 26 miles. He was the first American to finish. He and Doc Watson, they came from the same part of the country, and Doc Watson hired him. At one time, Max, I think you will verify this, Troy might have had one of the best hyper programs, that's health, physical, and education and recreation program in the entire country. Wouldn't you say that, Max?
Mike, that was one of the reasons I wanted to go, is because of the degree you got there, because they were putting out so many coaches, and you had to go through that physical education department to get that degree, and you get your recommendations from there. At that particular time in the late 50s and 60s, Troy put out more high school football coaches than anybody else in this part of the country.
All over Florida, Mike. Most everywhere you went in Florida, you ran into a Troy coach, and
because they paid more.
Exactly, yeah. And of course, John Fairclough coached down there, and there were just numerous players. Bobby Ross, and of course, like you said, they were good jobs.
I came from Bay High in Panama City. I was there.
Oh, yeah.
I came to Troy.
Yeah, no question about it, and their programs. But the difference, everybody says, why would they? See, Clemson would have to have seven 6 or 7 classes that he'd have to teach during the day before he could even go to his office, before he could go to the practice field. They had to do.
We didn't have but 3 coaches, and all 3 of them had PhDs.
That's right.
That was Rudy Argini, Melvin Lucas,
That's right.
and Bill Clipson.
Dr. Argini, Dr. Clipson, and Dr. Melvin Lucas.
That's right. They all had to teach. That's where you got your money from.
Yeah.
And the coaches was like a supplement, like in high school.
Yeah.
So who had the relationship with Billy Atkins? Ralph Adams?
Yes. More than anybody else. Wouldn't you say that, Max?
Wait, say that again?
Who had the relationship with Billy Atkins?
Well, Billy Atkins, to get Billy Atkins to come to Troy, was Ralph Adams the president?
Somebody's on the board. One of the board of trustee members was an Auburn guy. I mean, remember he played at Auburn.
Yeah.
Was an All-American there, then went on to the NFL, and came back. He had just taken the job 1 year at Columbus at the high school level, and then somebody that was on the board of trustees.
Doug Hawkins could have been one of those guys. You know, the veterinarian. He was a big Auburn guy.
Doug. I forgot about Doug. You're right. I think that might have been who it was.
And of course,
Auburn connection.
Exactly. And then later on, we got Larry Blakeney because he was an Auburn. Doug was an Auburn connection. Yep. Pretty good choice there too. Max Howell is on our line, and Max is known also, ladies and gentlemen, as are you a gourmet cook or what are you?
No, I'm just an old country boy, Mike. Love to cook. I love to get over an open fire. I cook anything. You kill it, I'll cook it.
Well, tell us all about your New Year's. your Super Bowl weekend.
We had a Super Bowl. Yeah, we did a little bit different this time. We had a cross mix of people. They had about 15, 18 people, I guess. I did chicken wings on the grill this time.
How do you keep the chicken wings from drying out?
You smoke them; they're good.
I marinate them, and every time I turn them, I baste them.
Yeah.
And I use about 3 different marinades on them. I use one with vinegar and sugar, like a rib, and I'll do one with vinegar and salt. Then I'll do one which I'll marinate mainly in Italian dressing. It's got the oils and the spices already in it. Yeah. Then we cooked deer tenderloin. I did some deer tenderloin, both the strips, and also I did them on a skewer with onions and tomatoes and all.
I bet that'd be good.
We had a huge cook. Then we had 2 or 3 guys who wanted the steak, and they brought the steaks, and I cooked the steaks for them as well.
Yeah.
So most of this was all finger food. So cut the steaks in pieces, gave it a fork or a toothpick, and because everybody was moving around trying to watch.
They were just eating off the grill there, wasn't you?
Oh yeah, man! It was a good evening.
Well, people ask me all the time about this mud pie. Now you made that from scratch, don't you?
Yeah, that's a Mississippi mud. We do I do basically like a brownie base. It's like a brownie pancake.
It's a double food, though, isn't it?
Oh yes, it's double food. But here's the deal. And I do 3 layers. But when I do the layers, between each layer, I lay chocolate syrup and pecans. And I throw it in the oven. I cook the cake first, and I put it back in the oven, melt all that chocolate syrup in there, pull that out. It's still warm from the oven. And usually we have one of the women who make homemade ice cream. We'll put a couple of scoops of vanilla ice cream.
Oh, boy. Man, oh, man. Whoa. I tell you what, I know now why you don't want to leave Fulton, Mississippi. The man said the other day, Fulton, Mississippi, what is he doing there? Well, you live on the river, don't you?
Yeah, I do. It's hey, look, Mike, it's close to being South Alabama as you can get. I can promise you.
Yeah.
It's laid back. It's mostly rural. About 29,000 people in the whole county.
Yeah.
And it's a big county in northeast Mississippi. So now I'm only 8 miles from the county. I'm an hour and a half from downtown Birmingham, an hour 45 from downtown Memphis.
That's not bad. That's not bad. Now, how about you're not far from gambling either, is that right?
Tunica? Oh,
yeah.
I get to Tunica in less than 2 hours.
Yeah. Somebody told me Tunica, though, is not what it used to be. Is that true?
They've closed several casinos. The only ones they got left are the Gold Strike and the Horseshoe.
Yeah, they have. They really have. See, they thought when they built that that they pull the Memphis.
See, that's what I thought too.
But see, the economics in the city of Memphis, inside the city, is the income level is not conducive enough for guys to have a lot of free money to spend.
Boy, at one time though, it took off. At one time, it was a place to go and a great place to stay on a football weekend.
See, we got Philadelphia though. That's down out between here and Jackson. That's one of it's like the Forge Indians in Atmore. It's the Indian reservation over there. They draw. Or having one, I think got 2 or 3 small casinos. They draw as many people as Tunica does now.
I know, and I knew.
They get all the Tuscaloosa crowd.
Yeah, you still got the Beau Rivage and all down on the coast.
No question about it.
They're doing quite well.
I went to Biloxi. Biloxi's still doing well.
We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back.
Yeah, the lottery is going on in Mississippi, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
they just put that lottery in too, didn't they? That hasn't been in long, has it?
Oh yeah,
started in December.
They doing $4 to $5 million a month.
Yeah,
going into the state treasury for that.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
I've been working for this my whole life. The chance to relax on the open water. With my financial institution, Max, my Achieve checking account earns dividends. So I'm free to do what I love.
Piggly Wiggly's local butchers are on site at both stores and will help you select the best cuts of meat and trim them to your liking. Our USDA Choice beef is the most consistently tender, juicy, and flavorful beef you can buy, all at cost plus 10%.
Ford Truck Month is going on now at Bill Jackson Ford, and folks, we have the deal for you. Take up to $6,000 off MSRP and get 0% APR for 72 months for huge savings on a new 2019 Ford F-150. Select new 2019 Ford Mustang starting at an incredibly low $23,900, or drive home a select new 2019 Ford Escape starting at just $18,900. Bill Jackson is the name you've trusted for over 30 years. Check us out on Highway 231 in Troy or online at BillJacksonFord.com.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
Until he was well, I sure don't want it. Back to our show, brought to you by Wise Office Supply on South Grundy Street in Troy. And ladies and gentlemen, they've been around a long time, since 1956. Wise Office Supply for office furniture, office equipment, office and school supplies, and all types of business supplies. I want to mention also Wells Fargo Advisors.
I bet you they're really excited about Alabama's recruiting class, and big Alabama fans, the Wise guys. No, let's go ahead and change that real quick. They're big Auburn fans, and no question about it. And good guys, good friends of mine. Listen, my own family. I'm a Troy fan first, and I tell this, and I'll tell it over the air, Max. If Troy played Alabama, Auburn, Alabama, I want Troy to beat them 100-0. And if they played Auburn, I'd want Troy to beat them 200-0.
I think it's all where you lead it.
I'm all about who I am and where I'm from.
Yeah, let's see it.
And Max, there are very few people in this town that can relate to both programs with who played back in as far back as the late 40s than I can. I mean, I have studied Alabama and Auburn all my life, and I've studied Troy all my life. There's no question that I can go back further with Troy University than most folks.
I think you got to change over, though, Dad. I think you're leaning towards Auburn.
Oh, you think I ought to get an appointment?
I think you need to go up to the Waffle House today and see if Malzahn's sitting there.
Yeah, exactly.
You can go ahead and change over.
Well, I'll tell you this. I'm going to eat breakfast somewhere, but it won't be there. I'm concerned. Yeah, Max.
You got to love Waffle House, man. That's my favorite spot.
Oh, I like Waffle House, but let me tell you this. Crystal is my favorite breakfast. That 3-egg deal they got there. I'll get 3 eggs. I'll get 3 eggs over light with 2 sausage patties and grits if they're thick. If not, I'll get French fries and and toast that they put in twice, not once. I don't like bread toasted. I like toast.
What about Bird's Drugs? I thought you went there every day.
I was there yesterday and spent a bunch of money there and ate a good breakfast. I'm just saying, though, that is on the bypass, and I hear through the networks that Crystal is on hard times. Have you heard that, Max?
Yeah, they're bankrupt.
They've closed every one of them in North Mississippi.
Yeah, have they? Well, I hate that.
They've already closed them.
And we're waiting on what's going to happen in Troy. I hope they can hold on.
The Crystal burger, was huge. When I was, in college, I was dying for Troy to get a Crystal, so they finally got one. And I was also hoping that Troy would get a Waffle House one day, and now Troy has 2 Waffle Houses. Back when I was in college, the only place you could go eat late at night was a coffee kettle or Subway. Yeah, hey, but I tell you this, Max, and you'll agree with me, it still all comes down to who's cooking. You know what I'm saying? Some of them, listen, don't give me runny grits. Don't give them to me.
Me either. I agree.
I want them thick. I want you to be able to have to eat them with a fork or a spoon, But no, a fork instead of a spoon.
That's why I like Waffle House. I think grits as good as any I've eaten.
Exactly, yeah.
I tell you what Waffle House has as good as that All-Star Special. We get that waffle and bacon and eggs. Right. That's a good deal. They also have really good chili at Waffle House.
That I was telling you just a while ago with coffee is $5.10. That's pretty good too. And it is delicious.
It's like $7.95 up here.
Max, let me ask you a personal question. When you were at Troy, of course, you remember the old canteen or dining, what do you call it, student center?
No.
Did you ever have a scrambled egg sandwich? Did you ever go in there and order a scrambled egg sandwich?
Every morning we got scrambled egg sandwich. That's where I learned to put ketchup on my sandwich.
That's right. You're exactly right. Listen, if my scrambled egg sandwich, I wanted ketchup on it. But you know what? What did you pay for it? 75 cents or $1 or what? How much do you reckon?
It was less than $1. It was less than $1, Mike.
But that was the first place you went when you got on campus was go by the student center. And Noel, the great artist, was here yesterday, and he was on our show. And we were talking with some people yesterday at Birds where we ate, and we were talking about the student centers. When Troy when you were at Troy, the most exciting thing of the day would be is to get into a game of bridge. Now, I've never played bridge in my life, but back then, I had all kinds of friends that played bridge, and they would say, "Mike, you going to class? Are you going to class? Look, I'm right in the middle of a bridge game. I can't go. Sign in for me if you can. Sign in for me." How many times you ever heard that, Max?
And even when I went back to coach there, Mike, all the coaches and all, Billy and Doris and
play bridge.
And we all play bridge on Friday after the season was over on Friday, Saturday night. We play a penny a point and play all night long.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah. You're right, and I bet it was competitive too. Knowing Billy Atkins and Philip Creel.
You're right, it was. It always was.
But the people that play bridge are serious folks, especially duplicate bridge and the big time bridge. You know.
And you know what's strange about that? After I left Troy, I bet I hadn't played 10 hands in the last 30 years.
And the thing about it, in that student center, you couldn't get a. Well, and the thing about it, in that student center, you know, the people, you know, you look for a place to sit to eat. Well, you couldn't because there'd be so many bridge games going on. There'd be 10 or 15. I'm not exaggerating. There'd be 15 tables playing bridge. You know, in the student center where we wanted to eat. You know.
You probably could sit there and smoke cigarettes back then too, couldn't you?
What?
They let people smoke back then?
Oh, gosh. Cigarettes were big time back then. Yeah, no question about it. I was, you weren't cool if you didn't smoke. Max, did you smoke?
Never smoked. I don't think I ever smoked a cigarette.
Isn't that amazing? That's why you're as old as you are today, Max.
I hope so.
Boy, you sound good. You got a radio voice and a TV face. or excuse me, a radio, TV. What now?
I got a radio face.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, Max, in top-notch great. Now, let me ask you, Max, seriously. Now you're getting on up there now. You're probably 6 or 7 years older than I am. What has been sort of your keys to good health? And you've been in good health.
I don't lift much anymore, Mike, but I still walk or jog, 2 or 3 days a week. I watch what I eat. I try to keep my weight around 200 or less. And the doctors want me at 180, and that's hard for me because I don't want to buy a whole new set of clothes.
Yeah.
So I try to keep it, and I try to get anywhere from 6 to 7 hours sleep every night.
Yeah.
And I think that's and I'm not a high stress guy. I'm high energy, but I'm not high stress. Things don't bother me a lot. If I can't solve the problem, I just forget it and go on.
Yeah. Let me ask you this now.
That's a good quality to have because there's a lot of stressed out people.
Well, you came along in the day of the push-ups and the sit-ups. Do you still do them?
I do the push-ups. I don't do much sit-ups. I fell out of a truck, broke my back. When I was 70 years old, and I've not had any problems for it. But I don't put a lot of pressure on my back anymore.
John Fairclough, of course, our good friend, and he has always had a regimented workout every morning when he wakes up. But a lot of it had to do with the old sit-ups and push-ups and isometrics. With your hands, isometrics. You can do it right here for your neck. Press. You know what I'm talking about right now? Press. Isometrics for your neck. You could build a big neck just in front of your after you shave every morning. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I think he's still working. I talked with him a month or so ago, and he's still working out.
The Army and all that, that's what they did back then was isometrics more than anything. Don't you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Throwing weight balls. Did you ever get into throwing weight balls?
No, not a whole lot.
The weighted down basketballs, they say it was real good for your hands.
Yeah, see, I stayed with the barbells and the weights, dumbbells. I did the light weights with them. That's what I do. Most I do now is just the light weights for a lot of repetitions.
Yeah, exactly right. And boy, when you come over here, I want you to see the new fitness center that they've got here in Troy. It's state of the art. It is just fabulous. And the first place I want to show you when you come in a couple of weeks.
Yeah,
you're gonna be impressed.
Down there, they still hadn't completed. I read where they'd opened.
Oh yeah, it's completed now, and it is beautiful. And boy, they fill that parking lot up with people too. I mean, it is well used already.
Yeah, the next thing Troy's gonna have to do is build a parking deck.
And here it is, Max. They're open to 12 o'clock at night.
Wow.
So anytime during the day or at night you can work out. And I tell you, and also, Troy's got a large group of international students, and they've hit this thing hard. These Chinese and these guys like that are going to go back all muscled up.
And they eat good, too, I'm sure, don't they?
Oh, let me tell you this. I ate dinner last night at the dining hall. I was by myself. I walked in. All right, I went over to the pizza place, and they had spaghetti. They had all kinds of fresh baked pizzas, and they had some other pastas and all that. So I got a little bit of that, and then I walk over to the salad bar and had two huge salad bars with fresh ice cold lettuce and tomatoes and cucumbers and all that. Fixed me a big salad. Then I walked over to the main dining line, and they had more of a Mexican deal, so I backed away from that and went back and had a great meal. And then afterwards, I went over to the bakery. They had all kinds of cakes and cookies and all kinds of stuff, and I got a little of that, and I was full.
That's your problem right there.
And I was full. But it was all fresh. And then upstairs, they have a Mediterranean part where they have the teriyakis and all that upstairs, which is just phenomenal. They have a wonderful brand new dining hall. Well, I say it's brand new. It's about 5 or 6 years old, but it'll I think over right at 1,000 kids can eat it at the same time.
And they had and in the morning they have an omelet station.
Oh yeah, the mornings for breakfast now they have an omelet station. Plus, listen to this, the Belgian waffle. You make your own Belgian waffle, and Max.
Gee.
Then you go over and they got whipped cream, fresh strawberries. Man, I tell you, and like Mike said, they got eggs any way you want to cook them, and then your omelets, and wonderful place to eat, and reasonable, very reasonable.
I can tell.
Very reasonable.
Wow. Unbelievable.
Well, now
Mike, I hope you don't go in there too often now to eat that.
No, you're right. Max, thank you so much for being on our show, and we'll see you next week.
I'll be right here. Thank you, guys.
Take care. Mike, take care. We'll see you tomorrow. And we'll see you tomorrow on Today in L.A.